Today on Inside Comix, comic books on computer. The most intense man in comics, Frank Miller, and Brandon Lee is the Crow.
Inside Comix. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Tony. Today on Inside Comix, the humongous San Diego convention. Comic books on computer, and the most intense man in comics, Frank Miller.
But first, one of the greatest game crazes of all time. It's the Magic card.
Last summer, Wizards of the Coast released an innovative trading card game called Magic the Gathering. In the game, each player starts off with their own deck of collectible trading cards and competes with other players to win new cards and to get better decks. Sort of like poker. The starter decks come with 60 cards, and each player needs at least 40 cards to compete. When the cards became available, Wizards of the Coast could not have expected the demand and had to go back to press. Their first series of cards have black borders and reprints have white borders, thereby satisfying the insatiable demand of collectors and fans alike.
Some of the auctions and things have card prices going anywhere from about $6 to $8. Of course, initially with the black border cards, prices were really getting out of hand for a while, going up to $12 to $20 cards.
Actually, I've heard of one person who quit his college job because he found that brokering Magic cards was more profitable.
The cards depict lands, artifacts, creatures, and spells. Many characters' names were made up for the game.
The original Gathering list, the Gathering, was mostly made-up names. They came from an imaginary world which we call Dominia, and so we're trying to develop each. As we explore new parts of Dominia, we'll come out with a new set of cards for that area.
New card ideas are forthcoming from both Richard and the staff.
Well, Richard designed the initial game, and others of us would propose new card ideas. And so right now, mainly everything that's done now is what Richard did. And hopefully, well, actually, right now in the stores, there's a new release coming out, which is extra cards that Dave and I designed. A release called Antiquities, and they're just new card ideas. Booster packs are 16 cards in a pack, or 8 for smaller releases, and it gives you a chance to improve your deck without having to go out and buy a whole new one.
Looking at comics this week, I want to talk about X-O Man of War. This is a Valiant comic, and it's really good. You should check it out. It's about a character that's a combination of Conan the Barbarian and Iron Man. It's about a 9th century barbarian that's kidnapped by aliens. He returns to Earth 1,000 years later, steals a suit of living armor, and comes back to 20th century Earth, and he does all sorts of barbarian stuff. It's from Valiant. Check it out.
I thoroughly enjoy X-O Man of War. It's one of the few books in which the creative teams are constantly making it fully exciting and definitely something to look forward to. I highly recommend it. Youngblood over at Image Comics. Here's another book that's lots of fun. Creative teams are throwing tons of dynamic stories and artwork into this one. You have a group of young individuals like Shaft, he's an expert archman, Bad Rock, huge genetically mutated guy. They're going out and protecting our world from all types of heinous villains. Real exciting project coming up soon for them. Youngblood Year 1 is going to give you some little secrets about Youngblood's origin that happened long before Youngblood #1 hit the shelves.
I'm still not a big fan of Youngblood. I still enjoy the colors. I think their coloring system is great. The book has improved over the first few issues, but I still think it has a long way to go. It's very derivative of a lot of other superhero comic books. But let's check out the new Youngblood cartoon. Here's a clip. points worth of pen juice. Don't worry. I'll take care of it. Whoopee, baby, dog. Love the music, but listen, if you're gonna play in public, you're gonna have to make these changes.
Imagine all the art that could have been if it were not for censorship.
Sylvester from Inside Comix. Welcome back to Inside Comix.
Basically, we put comics onto CD-ROM and add music, 16-bit audio, voices, special effects. Publishing has been moving on to disc past few years, and there's a good cross-section of comic book users and computer enthusiasts.
With the advent of new technologies, comic books are becoming more interactive. In early '94, Marvel released its first electronic ashcan for Ghost Rider 2099. CD Comics produced an earlier CD-ROM for Malibu's Dinosaurs for Hire, and now has released Ben Dunn's Ninja High School comic on CD.
Well, with this current title, Ben Dunn's Ninja High School, we have scanned in the artwork, and we have added animation.
I've got nothing to hide. Are you sure?
Ninja High School is a parody comic mixing several different genres of manga, the Japanese word which includes cartoons and comic book characters.
Well, there's a help guide you around the disc so you know what it does. An interview, which is spoken in English and Japanese, conducted with Ben at the San Diego Comic-Con last year, and a profile section with the characters that are in the story, giving you the basic information about them and where they appear. Many friends are on the disc, but we have some legitimate actors. We did try to get Robin Williams. We'll be sending him a disc soon, see if he wants to do anything in the future. I know he's a major comic book fan and computer enthusiast.
We merely switch it on and send a trillion volts.
Professor Seamhead, are you all right?
Ah, invigorating.
We are talking with a few publishers and looking for our next project. We will be releasing Ninja High 2 at San Diego Comic-Con August 1st.
The CDs take about 3 months to produce and retail for $29.95. And with the rising cost of comics these days, it may not be long before comic books enter the computer age.
Taking a look at today's super movie. A super movie is a movie about superheroes or heroic exploits. Today's super movie is The Crow, starring Brandon Lee. Brandon plays a rock musician who comes back to life to avenge his own death and the death of his fiancée.
Next time, duck.
I knew you were going to do that.
The idea was that there could be a love so strong that it could transcend death, that it could refuse death.
I love you.
Say that again.
I love you.
But to me, what appealed to me about the thing is this very evocative mood that is created by the comic book. And that's what I wanted to recreate. You know, that's the thing that I think everyone involved with the film is quite passionate about bringing to the screen. Is you see, when you look at the comic book, you see something in it that really affects you. And it's a very intangible quality, but that's what we're trying to create with the movie as well.
Gentlemen.
You're him, huh? The Avenger.
I've always been attracted to two general areas for movie subjects, just my psychological makeup. One area was kind of reality-based films like Wall Street or Reversal of Fortune or Badlands or Papa. And the other is pop fantasy, going back to Phantom of the Paradise with Brian De Palma, or Conan, or The Crow, now Judge Dredd, Street Fighter. We're doing something called Elf Quest, Island of Dr. Moreau. I saw in O'Barr's work in The Crow a unique vision, as stunning and unique as Frank Frazetta's world that he created for Conan.
I think our work is our gift. That's all we have to give. And I think it's a gift from Brandon. I think it's all of us put our hearts into it, and hopefully people will enjoy it.
The appeal of Eric's mission is that it is a very pure one. He has come back to seek justice for himself and for the woman he loved, and in a sense, for anyone who is victimized and has never had the chance to seek justice.
I know you. I know you. I knew you. I knew you. But you ain't you. You can't be you. We put you through the window. There ain't no coming back. This is the really real world. There ain't no coming back.
I enjoyed The Crow. It was a pretty good movie. I thought it followed the spirit of the comic book pretty closely, but there were a lot of major changes in the plot line that I did not enjoy. I thought it was very typical of a lot of movies out today, and I really thought they took away from the movie.
I love The Crow. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's excellent. Take this movie, buy it, put it in your video library, and watch it 1,000 times over and over again.
Another minor disappointment was the soundtrack, which was very heavily advertised, almost as heavily advertised as the movie, and you really didn't get to hear too much of it in the movie. Also, there was the Crow's car, and the villains had it, and the Crow was supposed to have it, and there were a lot of weird changes in the book that just weren't necessary. That's why I'm going to rate The Crow on the Mighty Meter. I'm going to give The Crow a 3.5.
I give The Crow a 5.
Inside Comix took their cameras west to San Diego for the giant San Diego Comics Convention the week of August 1st through 7th, 1994. The event, which exceeded over 34,000 in attendance, featured the Will Eisner Comics Industry Awards, along with a preview from Marvel, DC, and Diamond at the San Diego Zoo, and Techno Comics held a preview consortium featuring celebrity writers Mickey Spillane, Majel Barrett Roddenberry, and Leonard Nimoy. Celebrity appearances were held by Matt Groening and Glenn Danzig, as well as Jean-Claude Van Damme, who appeared on the floor after a consortium showing clips from the Street Fighter and Time Cop movies. Advanced screenings were held for Natural Born Killers and Full Moon Entertainment's Oblivion, featuring Peter David. Nikki and writer Rob Alstetter were on the floor with creative people such as Mark Silvestri, Stan Lee, Alan Grant, Paul Ryan and Tom DeFalco, the Prime Guys, Joe Quesada and Jimmy Palmiotti, and Matt Wagner. and many old and new characters were represented in costume. The 34,000 attendance figure makes the San Diego Comics Convention the largest convention ever attended.
Cosmic Comix on the White Horse Pike in Berlin, New Jersey, just off Route 30, midway between Atlantic City and Philadelphia. Golden Age, Silver Age, and Modern Age comics. T-shirts, trading cards, magic cards, and sports cards. Cosmic Comix also has mail service. Comics delivered right to your home. For more information, call 609-768-7117. That's 609-768-7117. Cosmic Comix. For collectibles, if you want it, we'll find it.
Information. Rob Allstetter's Comic Book Reporter phone line. Voice your opinion about important comic book issues. 313-252-2200, extension 0927.
Frank Miller, the man behind such great books as Sin City and DC's legendary The Dark Knight Returns. Inside Comix got a chance to talk to him, and here's what he had to say.
Frank Miller is one of the most sought-after artists, writers, and comics creators. Frank got his start at Marvel Comics thanks to another comic book legend, Neil Adams.
And I got in the way a lot of us did back then. I simply moved to Manhattan and bothered publishers a lot. I got a lot of help from the artist Neil Adams, a lot of training from him, and professional contact. But essentially I made a nuisance of myself and kept trying until I got good enough to make a living at it.
But it was Frank Miller's tough and gritty version of Daredevil that made him a hit with fans and critics. Influenced by early detective comics and writer Mickey Spillane, Frank forged a new kind of superhero.
When I moved to New York to work as a professional, I was all set to do crime comics. I came in there with a bunch of samples of these tough guys in trench coats and found out that they didn't do anything but guys in tights. So I had to adjust and ended up grabbing those characters when I got the opportunity that were the least super heroic of the superheroes, like Daredevil and Batman.
You always remember the first issue number of the first series you do. It was Daredevil number 158. It was back in the early 80s, and I stayed with that up through post-issue 200.
In 1988, DC published Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. This intense, influential graphic novel completely remodeled the Batman.
For me, doing Dark Knight was me just thoroughly exploiting and enjoying my childhood and bringing something of my own to it, because I thought, what if Batman were as old as his legend is? And also, what would really be the psychology of a guy who dressed up like a bat and threw criminals out windows? Would this man really be a liberal? Wouldn't he be a somewhat strange human being? And but as far as its influence, you know, yeah, there's been a lot of sort of like grim and gritty, etc. But a friend of mine once put it perfectly. Seeing some of the imitative stuff, just said, "This isn't grim, it's glum."
Frank is now working on his creator-owned projects, like his sequel to the Liberty graphic novel, Martha Washington Goes to War, a political satire about a future American Civil War.
Martha Washington Goes to War is a sequel to an earlier book that I did with Dave Gibbons. And Dave and I are teaming up again to continue the adventures of an extraordinary heroine in the 21st century. It includes a certain amount of political satire, but mostly it's a pretty straight-ahead adventure comic.
Sin City, Frank's other Legends title, is a raw, no-holds-barred detective comic with a gritty edge and Frank's unique style of art.
I'm spending most of my time now working on Sin City, which is a crime comic, trying to bring back crime comics. They were real big in the 1950s before the superheroes completely took over. And it's it really is the comic I've wanted to do for many, many years. Black and white, very hard edge, very tough. It's not for kids. And it's demonstrated to me that there is enough of an adult audience out there to support a comic book that's aimed at them.
It's time for today's Lucky Letter. Frank Saunders of Philadelphia, PA writes, Dear Inside Comix, what's the deal with Batman? Yes, Batman's had a very confusing life recently. A while back, he had his back broken by a character named Bane. Then he was replaced by a new guy named Azrael, so then he had to come back, kick Azrael out of the Batcave, resume the mantle of the Bat, and now he's going away again. Dick Grayson, the original Robin's going to take over being Batman for about 12 issues, and then Bruce Wayne will be back and everything will be back to normal.
For writing us, Frank wins a Time Cop promotional package full of all kinds of cool Time Cop stuff. If you would like to win a Time Cop package or other prizes, send your questions to Inside Comix, P.O. Box 10035, Philadelphia, PA 19108. Remember to include your name, age, address, and the type of stuff that you would like to win. Time Cop opens nationwide on Friday, September 16th.
If you would like to win a funky, cool Time Cop package, send your letter to Inside Comix, P.O. Box 10035, Philadelphia, PA 19108. It's sponsored by Inside Comix and Universal Pictures. Time Cop. Turn back the clock and your history.
Welcome back to Inside Comix.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present the...
Welcome to Celebrity Corner. I'm here with Leslie Nielsen, the man, and we're here to ask him what sort of comic books you like to collect when you were a kid, Leslie.
Oh, when I was a kid? Oh, I got Superman and Batman and Captain Marvel, and I had them all. As a matter of fact, you know, I had one of the original Superman first issues, you know.
Oh, really?
But I didn't know enough to save it. Yeah, well, I was young. I didn't know I needed the money.
Who was your favorite out of all that?
Well, Superman was always my favorite, you know. No two ways about that. But the comics have changed so much now. God, I love Doonesbury. I love the Wizard of Id. I still love the Little King, you know. And you know, I used to like Alley-Oop.
Sure, I remember.
Yeah, and Jiggs and Maggie and Jiggs. The works. Captain Jammer Kid. I used to read them all the time when I was a kid.
You also got you got this golf video coming out. What's that all about?
Well, it's Leslie Nielsen's Bad Golf Made Easier. The credo of the video is, I don't play golf to feel bad. I play bad golf, but I feel good. It's how to play bad golf better.
And there's like comedy bits on the tape and stuff like that?
It's nothing. It's all fun and a good time. And but it walks the edge of the rules of golf too. So it's doing very well. You know, but it's fun. That's what I go for. From now on in, I'm just going for the laugh.
Frank, are you all right?
I was soaking wet.
I'll get the talcum powder.
Inside the Lines, the newsletter for Inside Comix. For a year's subscription for 6 issues, send $5 to Inside Comix, P.O. Box 10035, Philadelphia, PA 19108. For all the interesting news behind the show and Inside Comix.
That's it for Inside Comix this week. Tune in next week when we're going to review the movie The Mask.
We're going to interview Scream Queen Brink Stevens, and we're going to be talking about Duckman.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.